Right. Okay, we're live. Take it away.
Okay. I'm sorry, my phone was telling me to do something. This is Roseanne from Love Sweet Arrow, and I'm gonna go back and forth with my glasses because I'm old and I can't see. So tonight we are bringing you from Love Sweet Arrow, Amalie and Erica. Hello.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. You. Um, uh, so okay. So I thought we'd start off with just telling us about yourself. Amalie, would you like to go first?
Oh, sure. First of all, thanks for having me. And always nice to be here. And Eric is one of my favorite people in the world. I love her books. So I'm Amalie Howard, and I write Victorian and Regency historical romance, as well as some teen romance, science fiction, fantasy, and also historical. My latest book is The Duke in Question, which is this beautiful, oh, I can't see it. Oh, there you go. Red cover here, The Duke in Question, which came out last week. And I'm super excited about that. And that's a Victorian romance about spies that goes from London to Philadelphia to France, back to London, lots of like traveling and shenanigans and fun stuff. That's me in a nutshell.
Erica.
I'm Erica Ridley. I live in Costa Rica. I'm delighted to be here also. I love Love Sweet Arrow and I love Amalie. Shenanigans is our favorite thing to get up to whenever we're together. So I'm hoping we're full of shenanigans tonight. My latest release is Nobody's Princess. It is
So good.
200% shenanigans. There's lots of heists and other fun stuff going on in this whole series. It's the Wild Winchester series. And so if you like Ocean's 11 in Regency, that's basically the vibe. So
Okay. All right. So Amalie, is this the first book of a series? Is it part of a series?
So this book is the third book in a series, and it's my inclusive romance series. And I say that just because it includes people of color and not made up in the terms of a fantasy sense. They're like people I've researched that I've that my characters are inspired by. The first book was inspired by Sophia Duleep Singh, who was a Sikh princess in Queen Victoria's court. The second book was inspired by Dido Elizabeth Bell, who was a biracial heiress, who was born elsewhere. I can't remember where she was born. Forget, but and she came back to live at her her father's family's house, and it's just an incredible story. And the third book, this one is inspired by Mary Bowser, who was a pretty amazing Black Union spy who was just incredible in the way that she got information and passed it on to the different her different superiors and stuff, and got all this information about the war. And it was pretty cool. She was very, very an intrepid woman. So so this is book 3. That was a very long-winded way of saying this is book 3.
No, that's okay. That's okay. I thought it was, but I thought, let's just make sure that the author says it and everyone knows. So the first two, your last one was an heiress.
Mhm.
And what was the first one?
The first one is The Princess Stakes. The second one is Rules for Heiresses. And this one is The Duke in Question.
Yes. We have all of them on the shelf. In fact, someone was in today, 2 or 3 people. I sold like 2 of your books today. The first one didn't get the swag. We do have some swag that came in today. A nice book,
awesome.
a signed book plate, and this, the woman
I know
who
that
bought
they're so adorable, right?
notepad, these little post-it notes. It's so cute. So I have to find the person who was there earlier in the day and make sure I send it to her because it came in after she left. So we were looking through the bookshelf and she's like, well, you don't have the heiress. And I said, yes, we do. It's right here. And she's like, oh, I missed it. I'm like, okay, well, so buy all 3 of them then.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. Hand selling, especially knowing that we're going to see you on that evening, is really, really easy. So,
very cool. Well, thank you. I appreciate that so much.
No, we appreciate the swag. People love the swag. We have some books of Erica still that have swag from when she came this summer. So we always just stick it in the book. And then when they open their book, they're surprised. So that's always fun. Okay. So let's hear how you got into writing romance. Amalie?
So I actually, I mean, I like a lot of other romance authors, read romance, voraciously. My mom was super strict, so I never had any boyfriends. So all my boyfriends were fake in books. And so I grew up reading sort of, the four J's, I like to say: Judith McNaught, Jude Deveraux, Julie Garwood, and Joanna Lindsay. 14, 15, 16, reading those books and like just dreaming of romance that I wasn't allowed to have in real life. And I started writing teen romance. Those were my first books that were published, and then moved into writing with a co-writer for historical romance, Angie Morgan. And that was an incredible experience. We wrote 7 books together, and then I went out on my own with The Beast of Ezra was my first solo book. And yeah, that's how I kind of started. Always loved it though. Always loved it.
Yep. Nice.
I used to put my grandma's Harlequins behind my textbooks at school because yeah.
Yeah.
So shady.
But if you didn't get caught, it was okay. See, so
Yeah.
you already knew what they were trying to do that day, so it's all good. Yes. Erica.
I too started with the 4Js as well. In fact, Joanna Lindsay's Once a Princess was my very first romance book. And once I read that, I had to read her entire backlist and inhaled them all, which was a hard shift for me because I had initially, when I was very small, I thought I was going to be the next Stephen King. That was my first plan when I was, 8, and that's what you want your 8-year-old to be doing. And I was reading all my dad's books. I didn't have a grandma with Harlequins. I missed out. So it wasn't until I was a grown adult when I finally stumbled over the first one. But being a grown adult meant I could buy them all, just binge. And so then I joined Romance Writers of America in order to learn more about the craft of writing. I wasn't necessarily planning on being a romance author, but once I got into this world, I just love Romancelandia. And because I love historical romance so much, it was a natural fit, and never looked back.
Nice. Yeah. I find Romancelandia so inclusive. And whenever people come in, I'll say, oh, I've met her and she's so nice. And I'm like, I say that about everyone, but it's so true. So that's a good thing. Yeah. Everyone is just inclusive. That's all I can say. It just is. Okay. So let's stay with you, Erica. What part of the book, and I have it here, I brought it. Nobody's Princess was hardest to write.
So for me, writing the first draft is the easiest part, and then editing is always harder later because I get the original version stuck in my head, and I'm convinced that that's the canon way. So probably the hardest bit for me to write is there's a point where the hero does the opposite of what the heroine is counting on him to do, and my editor and I actually went back and forth several times until we got it right. And so that was probably the trickiest part. And I don't want to give a spoiler, but if you've read the book, you know when he disappoints her in a big way. So that would be the hardest part.
Okay. Amalie?
Man, for me, the hardest part of the Deacon question was I took it out of London. So, as a writer, when you write a few books in a certain place, you're kind of familiar with streets and neighborhoods and, stuff that existed during the time period. And since I took this to Philadelphia, I had to go look up like old maps of Philadelphia and, do the like use the tape measure to calculate miles and how long it would take to get from one spot to the next. So that was quite difficult because I always like to make sure that I have, something that's correct, especially if I'm talking about a city or like a building. I have a tavern in there that existed in that time period, still exists today. Just little cool details like that, actual street names, stuff like that. I like to keep it, as authentic as possible. And, I have the hero and the heroine hanging out at an old waterworks park that was, belonged to some earl before it was like taken over by the city. Just little cool details, but hard though, because you want to get it right. So, you have to look up. At least it's better now that we have Google instead of, thinking about I'm thinking about my college days and having to look at microfiche, right? Totally dating myself.
No. Google's not been around that long. You're not dating yourself. You're fine. All right. Amalie, we'll stay with you. What was the most fun to write about this book?
Oh my gosh. Well, the sexy times were very fun to write just because it's a very steamy book. I think it's probably steamier than I've written. And I think a lot of like I was trying to think of like why that is. It's there's some danger elements in it, that where you get all impassioned and that kind of needs an outlet, and the outlet is the person that you're with kind of deal. And I was trying to think of like, well, what made me write, make this book so much steamier. And while it was really fun, I think it's also like, where you are, what you're reading, what's your state of mind that kind of makes you write a story the way you do. So I think like, that was really fun for me because it was just, she was a heroine that was very different to previous heroines I've written. And I really loved her, like her energy and how sex positive she was. And I did this, like, I wrote an article, I think it was for Fangirlish, that was, talked about the duality in Victorian morality, because everybody thinks that the Victorians are such prudes, and they actually weren't very prudish. The history shows that, women, I found this really great survey of a Victorian woman who, she interviewed people in the late 18th century 19th century who were, talking about female pleasure and that men needed to be trained. And it was just hysterical reading these quotes. But I love doing that. That was very fun for me writing Bronwyn. She was a great character.
Yeah, she was. Erica?
So for me, this book, the series in general, but Nobody's Princess in specific, the hero and heroine have special abilities. And so she throws knives, she's a warrior, and he's actually comes from a circus, so he's an acrobat. And so in the beginning, it was so fun, the moments when they surprise each other, because of course, this is not how you introduce yourself, right? So they kind of find out on accident what each other's special skills are. And those were a blast, like when she sees him just randomly scale a building to get away from the bad guys. And she's like, wait, what just happened? And so it's really fun. And then of course, all the heists. I love heists. That's been my favorite part of the series, just in general, just the build up, you're assembling the team montage and everybody's working toward it. And then when you're pulling off the great heist, it's such a great payoff. And it's just nonstop fun.
Yes, very nice. How did you come up with your titles? And we'll stay with you, Erica.
So the first book in the series is the Duke heist, and I came up with that because she heists the Duke. Literally, she runs off with him in the back of a carriage. So that one was a gimme. It's the trope right there. The second book, The Perks of Loving a Wallflower, that was not its original title, and we actually fished around for a while before we settled on something we liked. I kind of crowdsourced title ideas and culled a list and sent them to my editor, and so sometimes it's really easy and sometimes it's actually tricky. And then this with Nobody's Princess, it was somewhere in the middle. We had just a very short list of titles, and then we decided on this one just to make sure we had the trope of princess there in the title to entice readers who like royalty.
Yes, yes. Amalie?
I think all of mine, the titles changed. Sourcebooks is really good about doing title testing. So they actually have a test group that they take different titles out for, and sometimes my working title just didn't work. But I think I've been really happy with all the titles that they've chosen. So, I think they're catchy and sticky, and that's what's kind of important with a book.
Okay. All right. Do you have any say on the cover? On who is on the cover or what is portrayed on the cover? Amalie?
Again, Sourcebooks, super great at, they have a form you have to fill out. Forever does the same thing, because I have a book also with Erica at Forever. But it's just, if the more detail you put in it, like their art department at Sourcebooks, they're amazing. Everything that I have put in for each book, I've gotten. The color for the first one, when it was magenta, the second one's this gorgeous teal, the third one is this vermilion sunset red color that I love. And I requested those. So, and the dresses are just phenomenal. They're so gorgeous. So I think the more information I put in those forms, they really do listen, which is really cool. And for the second book, because the hero is a West Indian Duke, I had sent them a picture of an Indian actor and said, I need him to look like this man. So, I mean, they're fantastic to work with, and I'm very lucky with these covers. I mean, everybody says how beautiful they are, and yes, I agree.
They are, yes. I love how dark they all are, like
Mm.
dark colors,
It's so rich. They're so lush. Yeah. Mhm.
they are for sure. For sure. Erica.
Yeah, so similarly to Amalie, there's a form I fill out where I explain as much as I can, and I do the same thing with inspiration. I'll send photos and be like, I need them to look like this. Sometimes it's not possible. With the cover for The Perks of Loving a Wallflower,
Oh,
we were
so
in.
gorgeous.
Thank you, thank you. We got lucky at the end, but we were in the middle of the pandemic, and so for a while, it looked like we weren't going to be able to have a live photo shoot. But then we found, my editor, Leah, found a model whose real life wife was willing to pose in the photos with her, because the rule was you couldn't have people in two different bubbles in the same room with their masks off at the time. And so we were able to pull off a really pretty cover, unexpectedly. And so that was great. And then for the new book, for Nobody's Princess, I had very strong feelings about what the people should look like on the cover. And so, like Amalie, I sent pictures. I said they must look like this. And then there weren't initially models that really matched my specifications. And so my editor was great. She sent me a list of who had matched. And I said, it's just no. And so they went back and found some new models, and then I was able to pick people that were going to better represent the people inside the book. That was what I had really wanted. And then the art department, for the most part, I let them do their thing. I try not to micromanage too much, but I do give feedback also. And so they initially weren't going to put the pink dress on the cover, but for this one, but it's a plot point. And so I felt strongly about it, and they did put it on, and people have loved the cover. So I'm glad.
I love those covers, and Perks is one of my favorite covers of yours, just because you can see the love between that couple. Like, I mean, I have my own copy, and I look at it and I'm just like, that's just amazing. Because that's the kind of feeling you want when you read the book, to get that, when you're looking at it, you get that emotion. Which you do, because I love that book.
Yay, thank you.
Well, it's just nice to know too that you guys have so much say, you know what I'm saying? So you're happy with the covers, people are happy with the choices. Yeah, very, very nice. So I saw we have a couple people out there. So I was hoping that they could, if they have any questions, that they could put them in the chat for us. I do see Robert out there. Hi, Robert. So I'd like to try to play Two Truths and a Lie. And whoever's out there, we're hoping that you answer and hope and try to guess which the lie is. So who wants to go first?
Okay. I guess I can go. I mean, this is like information that's on my website, but okay. I spent a good 15 minutes in Jason Momoa's armpit. I surfed in Australia, Bells Beach, and there was a great white shark there. And number 3, I went to a party at the Playboy Mansion.
Those are great.
Those are really good ones.
I just really want them all to be true. I'm starting my new canon.
At Jason Momoa. Yes. So I guess I'm going to say my guess is number 3. That's the lie. Erica, what do you think?
I'm going to go with number 1.
Okay. That's so she wasn't under his arm and next to him for 15 minutes. Okay.
I think it was more sorted than that.
Oh my God, that's awesome. This is why I love her. See?
So Rob says the lie is the shark one.
All right. So Robert is correct. The lie is the shark. It was actually spotted there the next day, which still scared, the pants off of me, because, a 20-foot great white shark on a beach break that you're surfing one day before, is just terrifying. I was in Jason Momoa's armpit. We took a picture, and I'm like 5'2" nothing, and he's like 6'4". So like, I was tucked up in there. He smelled very nice, so that was good. And then number 3, I did go to a Halloween party at the Playboy Mansion in 1997.
Okay.
I know, very long time ago.
Yes. Well, so I think I just want to know a little bit about Jason now. Just give us a little bit about. Come on now.
Well, I mean, like I said, he smelled really good. His peck felt very nice against my air. Like, I was like, I'm gonna just like go to sleep here. It was at Denver Comic Con, so that was really cool. And I because I was a guest, I was actually, I was able to go through a special line to like see him, which was quite nice. So yeah, I was like, oh look, I'm a guest also.
Yes, that's right.
He
How
was really
exciting.
nice though. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. He was on was it Jimmy Kimmel recently?
Oh
And he
yeah.
had on some kind of garb for a movie
Oh
coming
yeah,
up.
yeah.
And underneath he had on just that cloth.
Oh, the loin. I saw that where he turned around and showed his butt. Oh my God.
Yeah. Yes. That was so good. He set that up on purpose because there was a picture of him on a boat and he's wearing a cloth like that for some show he's doing, fishing show.
That
And
was
so
yeah.
that was really
Control.
cute. Yeah.
She goes really cute, and he has his buns out. He's a giant man wearing a loincloth. That was hilarious.
Yes. I don't know. Did he turn around and show us his butt? I
He
know
did.
he was.
Oh, on Jimmy? Yeah, he did. He turned around on
I
the
totally.
clip.
So maybe that's why it's cute because I really didn't get to see it.
Oh, I saw it.
All right, Erica.
Okay, well now I'm changing mine because Amelie's was so great. I gotta up my game.
Do it. Do it.
I okay, what am I gonna go with? Okay. I held Steve Irwin's snake. I was on stage at an AC/DC concert. I was kissed by Bruce Campbell of Evil Dead and Burn Notice fame.
Ooh.
I mean, what kind of snake was it? I'm kidding. That's just terrible.
Well,
Okay, I'm gonna go with number 2. I'll give vote number 2.
okay.
I think it's a different concert. She switched it up.
Yeah.
Definitely was on stage though. I wouldn't put it
Okay.
past her.
Yeah, I'm going with I think she would have been on stage. So then I'm going to go with that she held Steve Irwin's snake. But let's see. So online, someone said AC/DC. Let's see if we get one more guess. There's 2 people guessed. Yours, Amalie, was about the shark. So
All right,
yeah.
all right.
So they were right. Yes. Anybody else? Nothing. So Amalie, I'm sorry, Erica, which one is it?
I have never met Steve Irwin, so no snake for me.
That was said with so much confidence.
It was. And someone else did just say Steve Irwin. See, so a couple of us were right. So
Know
AC,
you.
were you at you were at the concert. How'd you get on stage?
Crowd surfing, as one does.
That's awesome.
When I was younger, I used to always crowd surf all the time. I was so small. I was like you, Amalie. I was like the smallest person there, and I would crowd surf on accident. Like they would just pick me up, just
Like a little
the
fluff.
wave of
Hey, ho.
and then next thing I would know, I would be up at the stage, and the bouncers would be like, "No, you're not supposed to crowd surf." And I'd be like, "I didn't do it. Look at me. Do you
Wasn't
think I
me."
can control this crowd?" And they'd be like, "Okay," and they'd send me around back, and then I would come up again.
Oh my God, that's so funny. I always have this fear, in those movies that you like either fall off the stage and people just make a hole and you just fall down instead of on the crowd.
I would never
Right.
I never did it on purpose like that. I never dove from the stage. It was always
That's
the other
safe.
way.
You did it the safe way. Nice.
Way. And I love how they would make you go back around and get back to your spot. They wouldn't like try, dump you off. So that was nice.
All right. Tell us about this kiss now. You naughty minx, you.
It was when I was in school, I went to University of South Florida, and Bruce Campbell's book had just come out, his memoir, and so he came and he did a book signing. I said a Bruce signing. That is what it was, I guess. And I was a big fan of all the Evil Dead movies. Again, remember, I wanted to be Stephen King when I was small, so naturally I was like, oh, it's Bruce Campbell. And so I stood in line to get my book signed, and he put "Give me some sugar, baby" in it, which was his catchphrase. And then I said, "Can I get a photo?" He said, "Sure, you get one photo." And so just as the photo was being taken, he kissed me. So
Oh, that's awesome.
Nice. Very, very nice. Those were great. 2 truths and a lie. Thank you. Thank you so much. Maybe we'll play it again later. Let's see how we do. Okay. So, as you were writing the books, and Amalie, you're still on my screen, so we're going to start with you. Are any of the characters modeled after somebody? I mean, we know that you took moments in history and turned books into someone else, but like a side character, I guess.
A couple
Like,
sorry?
like, is your husband in there, or your brother?
My husband insists that he is every cover model that has ever appeared on any of my historical romances. And I'm like, yes, honey, you're right. You're right. It is you. So sarcastically. I think sort of, I will put different pieces of people that I know into characters that I write. The closest one I did was one of my previous books that came out this summer, that my son is neurodivergent, and he is he's very, very smart, but he has a low processing speed, and he has anxiety and clinical depression. And a lot of his characteristics and how he dealt with the world ended up in the male character in my book. So that's one like really, solid example. As far as the Duke in question, like different characteristics, my husband, since you brought him up, his unshakable patience probably came across in Thornbury, who is like that kind of hero protector. She's like the feisty sprite. He is like the old curmudgeon that's like, no, these are the rules. And then she just basically turns his world upside down because she's the firework. So yeah, I mean, some of our life, and him informs the character, which is kind of cool.
Mm-hmm. That is cool.
Don't tell him that though, because his ego will be enormous.
I'll be sure. Erica, how about you?
Actually, I have honestly never based any character in any of my books on myself or anybody that I know in real life. I just make them all up completely. It's actually one of the most fun pre-planning parts of the process for me, is just to sit down and just dream it all up. I mean, I do use real historical events, and sometimes there'll be like real people that influence the book like that, but like basing a character off someone in my real life, no.
Only when she wants to murder them, like the Stephen King person she wanted to be.
It could happen. I haven't given up.
Okay, so I know that both of you have been writing for a while, but how long actually have you been writing? Erica.
Professionally, I think, well, I started pursuing a professional writing career around 2006, and I think I got my agent in 2008, and we sold the book in 2009, and my debut came out in 2010, something like that. But I've been writing my whole life. I used to fill these spiral notebooks just full of these novels that I wrote when I was as a child, and then through high school, and I would pass them around the school and everybody would read them. And so it was destined to eventually do it.
Nice. Amalie?
So same as Erica, I wrote my whole life. Always doodling stories. I think I was like 9 when I wrote a story about a girl who had magical tattoos that were trying to kill her. And my mom was like, yeah, okay, I don't know what's happening with this dark fantasy stuff here. I was published at 12. It was a poem that my English teacher came and, she lit a candle and said, write a poem. And I wrote about a groom that burned his bride to the ground. the groom was the flame and she was the candle. Again, my mother was like a little concerned about this dark romance sort of, leaning. I won an award in a global Commonwealth essay writing competition when I was 15. And that was about an old man, a violin, and a tree. And his daughter's soul was stuck in the tree. So he played music to her in this tree. Again, with the fantasy stuff. And then, professionally, I think my first book came out in 2011. And, it was just writing romance from there. It was young adult. So, I still loved most of my YA books, which were fantasy and science fiction, had a huge romantic element in them. And then I moved into historical romance. And my next YA book is actually coming out next spring. So Queen Bee, I'm really excited about that. It's a BIPOC LGBTQ plus positive historical.
Very nice.
Thanks.
That's exciting. All right. Any advice for someone who's writing their first book? Amalie?
Well, I would say the biggest thing I'd say is don't give up. I know that's really, it sounds just, very simple, but it is, because a lot of us will get either imposter syndrome, I still get it, or you might think you're not good enough, or you might read an idea that is exactly your idea, but that doesn't mean you shouldn't write it, because I think your voice makes you distinct as a writer. So go ahead and finish that story, write the next page, write the next chapter, and finish it. Start it and finish it. One of my biggest things was that I would start something and then either get discouraged and then start something else. So I'm like the eternal starter, right? Never finish her. Now if I have to write a synopsis, I have to finish. So there. But yeah, never give up, never surrender. It's from Galaxy Quest. Totally nerd myself out there. Just keep going and trust your voice.
Okay. Erica?
I would say that's all very, very good advice. I would also add that there is tons of advice and forums and experts who have allegedly the one right path that you have to follow out there. There is no such thing. Decide what it is that you are looking for. Are you writing this book just for yourself? Because that's totally valid. Are you writing the book of your heart and you don't care about the market? Because that's totally valid. Are you writing because you want to put food on the table? Because that's totally valid. And all those things, like whatever it is that you're doing it for, will kind of inform what kind of book you're writing and like what steps you should take. And don't listen to someone else's path and how they made this kind of success or that kind of success, because it's not your path. Just figure out what you want your path to be and don't let anybody deviate you from it.
That's awesome.
Good advice. Yes. Both of you had really good advice. So I know, RWA imploded and we all know how that went down, but so a lot in Chicagoland, there's a couple of different writing groups, romance writing groups, which is nice. Is there a group around you that you work with? Do you mentor people? Do you have a writing club? And that's really not something that I thought of, but since you were talking about good advice, I was just wondering, what's your experience? Erica?
So I've lived in Costa Rica for about 10 years now, and there are frankly not a lot of romance writers down here. I think I'm friends with both of them. We live on 3 just completely different sides of the country. And when I can, one of them is a good friend of mine. We've known each other since we both lived in Tampa like 20 years ago. And so we'll go have like sleepovers or whatever and have writer time for a weekend, which is fabulous. But I don't have the big writing community that I used to have when I lived in the States. I usually a few times a year will donate to charitable causes that I believe strongly in. And I used to do critiques, but a couple of years ago, I switched to mentoring, and I've been mentoring an aspiring writer for a month as my donation. And so that has been very rewarding. It's so fun to kind of give back, pay it forward in a way, and help others go down whichever path it is that they would like to choose. I do miss getting together with writing friends, and I'm always talking about when I first moved here, I did a big writing retreat and we rented this huge, amazing house and I filled it with all my writing friends and it was so much fun. And I keep thinking I should do that again.
Yes. That would be fun. I bet you get a lot of people that would love to come down there.
So noted, Amalie. So noted.
That's one of my bucket lists. I would like to surf in Costa Rica so badly.
Yeah.
Come on
Yeah.
down.
One day I'll just show up at her doorstep. She'll be like, "Oh no, I did tell her to come."
We'll have the guest room waiting.
Nice.
Very-
Community wise, I mean, I love, I'll meet people at different conferences or, you know, before moving to Colorado, I lived in New York, and I think the sense of writing community was much bigger. There's a lot of author groups here. When I first moved, I, you know, kind of thought about joining a couple. I think I did. I don't know if they kind of faded out, but I have like groups that I stay mostly online with. You know, we have like you know, Facebook chat groups, so you kind of run ideas by each other. I'll occasionally go to a writing retreat, but the last writing retreat I did was like years ago and it was really big. And I was more interested in chatting than I was writing, because it's sometimes, I mean, writing is a lonely profession when you're at home and you're like, oh my gosh, it's my people. So I mean, most of the time I do sometimes a writing retreat for one, which is awesome. I'll go to like a hotel or, you know, and just write for a day, which is fun. But yeah, I mean, I think the community is necessary. It's necessary to be a healthy writer, and I say that again because it's such an isolating profession, especially because of the hours you spend by yourself writing with fake characters that aren't real. The voices, they're talking.
So are
It
you
feels real.
every day, or do you just write when you have something has to be written down?
Me?
Yeah.
I write every day.
Okay.
And I say, you know, when I do like writing classes for teens, which I do sometimes, I did more of it when I wrote YA, but you know, I say button share, it's like homework, right? If you don't, and your mind is a muscle, so if you don't keep training it and exercising it, you know, it's going to be harder to kind of start the next day. But if you start like a routine, so if I'm on deadline, I will get up at 4 a.m. and write for 3 hours until my kids have to go to school. Because once like I'm interrupted, then I'll stop for breakfast and I'll stop to do something else and I'll stop to drop a kid to school. And it's like, I don't have that uninterrupted time. So yeah, I mean, I do try to write every day. I'm a morning person, so that happens in the morning for me. I know lots of people are better at night or middle of the day, but for me, it's definitely morning.
Okay. Erica.
I work every day on career-based stuff, whether it's promotion or whatever, but I don't necessarily write every day. I'm more of a burst writer. So when I am in the zone, in a story, I will write from dawn to dusk and just vomit out the whole draft. And then I'll have a break before I can do it again. So kind of like, if you've ever heard Becca Syme talk, it's like her Phoenix archetype, you know, you flame out in flames of glory and then you rise from the ashes and do it again. So that's more my thing. I do have friends like Amalie who write every day, and I've tried to be that person, but it's just not the way my brain works. So I am definitely the kind of person who lives it, breathes it. I don't do anything else. You can't even talk to me. And then once it's done though, I need a break before I can start over.
I think that ties into your fantastic advice also about kind of following your own path. And not saying, like, if somebody says, oh, write every day, or hey, don't write every day. You know, you just have to do what's right for you. And that's amazing. Like, I've heard people who can bang out like 20,000 words in like 2 days. I mean, I can do it if it happens and it's like a magical thing, you know? But yeah, that's awesome. Burst, then such a great description too. Yeah. Burst writer.
That is a great description. It's just interesting. Every time we have someone on, I always like to listen to them. You know, what is their process? Because everyone's just so different. You know, how often you write, do you have a goal? Do you set up a schedule? Like, you know, that Nano is going on right now. Nano writers, or I don't even know what the name of it is, but so there's a lot of people
NaNoWriMo.
NaNoWriMo, and they're in these groups and they're cheering each other on, which is just fabulous.
You know,
Just
I mean, I did say that I write every day. Sometimes that might be one word. I kid you not, it might be 5 words,
Mhm.
but I feel like, yeah, sometimes it might be more, but I do try to write every day. Whether that happens, I won't lie and say that it does, but I do try to write every day.
Okay.
Again,
So
if I write it counts.
it does. It does. Now, some authors can't read while they're in the middle of writing a book. How about you guys? Read other people's books, I'm saying.
Which one?
Whoever's there.
Oh, I don't read any historical romance at all because I don't want any subtle anything to kind of bleed into my work, whether it's, phrase or voice or words or anything like that. So I'll read other things. I have kind of insomnia, so I have to read like every night, but I'm on a monster kick right now, monster fantasy, which is phenomenal. I like a good mafia romance. Yeah, and there's some historical romance authors that, if they like Lisa Kleypas, she has a book out, I will literally take a break to read it because she's amazing. But yeah, I will try not to read while I'm writing.
Mhm.
If I'm editing, that's different.
Okay. All right. Erica.
I also read off genre when I'm writing. I never ever read historical romance while I'm writing. I will most likely not even read romance. I will read suspense. I love mysteries and thrillers and all that kind of stuff as well. And so I'll binge on that while I'm doing my own thing, just to keep it separate.
Mhm.
Mhm. That makes sense. Okay. So we kind of talked about your writing. So here's a different question. What is on your nightstand or couch that you're reading right now?
I need to show mine because it's flipping awesome. Okay, I'm so excited about this book. I had to beg to get it. But listen, I'm proud of my begging habits. And why is this not showing me? Here we go. Ready? Don't be jealous, okay? Don't be jealous. Don't be jealous.
Nice.
I am so excited about this book. It's by Scarlett Sinclair, and she's an incredible writer. It comes out with Source Books December 20th, Queen of Myth and Monsters. And it's a sequel to King of Battle and Blood, which was one of my favorite books, fantasy books with vampires, just incredible. But I love her. She's a great, her enemies to lovers sort of trope writing is just phenomenal. She's great. So that's what I'm reading.
I read it. Sorry.
Did you?
I know it's
Don't
so
spoiler me.
No, spoiler.
I don't care. I love spoilers. I'm one of those people that I will read everything or watch something before I go watch a movie. It's so bad.
Well, and so I got that one and I was like, wait, I can't read it until I read the first one. So I read the first one first. And yeah, she's incredible. You're right. She is. When it comes to fantasy and vampires and all that.
So good.
So good. Yes, I agree. Erica, what are you reading right now?
I am reading Honey and Spice by Bolu Babalola. It is so good. It's an enemies to lovers romance, and I just love the voice. I love the snark. I love everything about it. I am about halfway through, and it is fantastic. Highly recommend.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay. So this was Marissa's thing. So if they made your series, your 3-book series, into a mini series, who would you cast? Let's start with the first book and then move through all 3 of them. Erica.
No, you got to pick on Amalie. I am so face blind. Like, I have failed at recognizing family members before. I don't know any actors and actresses. Like, I literally don't. I have had conversations with people where they're like, how do you not recognize Brad Pitt? I'm like, I'm sorry. I just, so I will pass to Amalie.
Okay.
I mean, I have people that I will use as inspiration. We talked about the covers, and I will send actors and actresses out. I mean, for the first book, since it's a South Asian heroine, I think I had chosen, I forget her name. It's not the girl who was in the second season of Bridgerton, but I'll have to think about her name. Yeah, now I'm on the spot and I'm like, who is it? The second book, remember I told you I sent a picture of an Indian actor. I'd put him in it. He's on Instagram, and his name is, oh my gosh, why is my brain going completely blank? And as soon as we finish up, I'll forget it. I think I've posted it. I don't know. I don't know. No, I can't tell you. And now if I come out of this video to go look up who my casting would be for the Duke in question, although don't you guys think he looks like Patrick Dempsey? Look at this face. So we'll
Yes.
cast Patrick Dempsey if he doesn't look too old. And then for her, I don't know, maybe a younger, who's the girl who played Beauty and the Beast, that series? What was her name? I always thought she was so pretty. You know that Beauty and the Beast, like it was like a mini series. I forget. I'm like
Yeah.
rambling at this point. I can see the faces, no names, of course.
Yes.
And I'm no help. I got nothing.
I would have been totally better. I would have been better prepared if I was like, oh, casting, yes. So,
Yeah. Well, your covers are beautiful. So if you could just find someone that looks just like that or very similar, that would be great. Yeah.
yes.
Yes.
Oh, Manu, Dr. Manu. His first name is Manu. I know that for the second book. And now I'll
Okay.
try to remember that last name.
Yes. Just blurt it out when you think of it. Because it'll
I
come
know
to you.
randomly. Yeah.
Yes. Like when people come into the store and they're like, I'm looking for a book. And I'm like, books?
Yeah.
What book? I have. Yeah, I have to stop myself. I'm like, Roseanne, you run the store. You're there all the time. I mean, Marissa and I run the store, but I'm like, books. Give them a rec. Just stop freezing. So are there any other questions before we play Two Truths and a Lie again?
Oh my gosh, we're gonna do that again. Dang it.
Yes, it was fun. Erica, do you think you have something that you first thought of?
Sure. Two truths and a lie, right?
Yes.
Okay. I rollerbladed across Paris beneath the Eiffel Tower. I rollerbladed across the Golden Gate Bridge, and I rollerbladed through the rainforest on off-road rollerblades.
Oh.
Well, she was in Paris last year or 2 years ago. Weren't you in Paris? Dang it, I can't remember. I'm gonna go with number one because she blinked when I said Paris. I was very carefully watching the facial expressions.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna go with the Golden Gate Bridge because I'm not sure that they allow people to walk across it. But I don't know for sure. So, Erica, which one? Oh, someone said the Paris rollerblading. So you have 2 out of 3.
It is the Golden Gate Bridge. I have never rollerbladed across it.
Okay. Yes. Nice. So I was right. And Robert said, or is it a trick and you don't know how to rollerblade?
Oh no, I love to rollerblade. It's my favorite. Actually, the Paris thing was actually years ago. I was living there, and at the same time, Eloisa James, who I didn't know at the time, was also taking her a year sabbatical there. And we met in Paris, and it turned out that once a year they shut down the whole city and let you rollerblade or roller skate across it. And I was like, we've got to do this, and so we did, and it was so much fun.
That's very cool. Very, very cool. Amalie?
Oh my gosh, now I'm like have to think up something that isn't rollerblading. I rollerbladed from kidding. But I did used to rollerblade in Central Park. You know that disco? So they had like a weekend disco and they'd have music and all these people in their little shorts and neon tops and they'd come on roller skates and rollerblades. That was really fun. They don't have anything like that in Fort Collins. But all right, let me see. I jumped out of a helicopter to ski down a mountain in New Zealand. I trying to think of a good one. I have visited 25 countries in the world. And number 3, I have 5 children.
That's tough. Oh, Robert said you can't legally rollerblade across the Golden Gate. Golden Gate. He looked it up.
Yeah. Well, I definitely did not do it. So
She
You
did
got
not
me
break
there.
any laws.
Yes. Well, I don't know, Amalie, since you're a big surfer, it sounds to me like you want to surf in a lot of places. So to me, that's daredevilish. So I'm thinking you might have dropped from a helicopter to ski. Hmm. So, Erica, what do you think? I'm stumped.
I am probably wrong, but I'm going to go with the second one because I think 25 countries is a very round number and it's probably a different number.
Okay. Robert says you haven't visited that many countries as well.
Oh, I think you did visit that many. I just think it's not 25.
Okay.
So it is 25 countries. It is a round number. I probably should check it like, more recently, but I don't think I've visited any. Oh, actually I did go to Montenegro, and that's a whole new country now. So dang, now I have to see if that's like 25 or 26. What is happening? And then I did come out of a helicopter at the top of Mount Hutt in New Zealand to ski. It was one of the most frightening mountains I've ever skied on because there were no groomed trails. You were on it, and then there was a cliff of death
Oh my
next to
God.
you, and there was one like a little goat path that these they were like double black diamond skiers, and they were like, no, you'll be fine, just follow us. The thing was this narrow, and I'm on it with skis, and I kept falling into the side of the mountain because I was so terrified of falling off the mountain. So I kept like, it was like literally, if you looked at it, it was like Amalie, 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 like my body shape on the side of the mountain. I have 3 children, not 5.
Okay. So there you go. That was your lie. I didn't want to guess that because I thought,
Yeah, I mean, that was such a like, I was like, oh, what can I lie about?
yeah, so those were good ones. Okay, so if there's any other questions on the chat, give it to us now, because otherwise I'm just going to move on to what is next. Amalie, we have you here. What are you
What is
writing
next?
out?
So right now I am editing the second book in the Forever Taming of the Duke series, which is Never Met a Duke Like You, that comes out next summer. So I'm working on that. I am writing the 4th book in this Daring Duke series, which comes out, I think, at the start of 2024. And my next book that is out is Queen Bee, which is a it's pitched as Bridgerton meets the Count of Monte Cristo, which is one of my favorites. It's about revenge and like teen revenge, and it's set in the Regency era, so it's super fun. It's it's being pitched as an anti-historical, which means it's a full BIPOC cast, which is awesome. It's LGBTQ plus positive rep. I'm just super excited about it. And it's
Sounds
part of
awesome.
Joy Revolution, which is a new imprint that was started by Nicola and David Yoon that is celebrates stories by and about people of color. So I am just so honored to be part of that imprint and part of their dream, because they're a phenomenal couple. So yeah.
Very nice. Erica.
I am working on edits for the 4th book in the Winchester series. It is called My Rogue to Ruin. If you've read the other books, it is Marjorie's story, and she gets up to all sorts of shenanigans. There's definitely more heist action. So that's lots of fun. And that won't come out until next year. And then the other thing I have in the pipeline is in the spring, my bestie Darcy Burke and I are writing another series together. This time she's writing odds and I am writing evens, and we're going to put out a sextet, emphasis on sex, we say, and Regency themed romances. It's called Lords in Love. It is so much fun, and we are having a blast writing this together.
Very nice. Very, very nice. Well, I didn't get any questions, but they did have lots of guesses, so that's good. So I think with that, how can people follow you on social media? And then we'll end. Erica.
I am Erica Ridley at all the places, so it's very easy.
Okay. All right. Amalie.
I'm also Amalie Howard at all the places except for Instagram, which is Amalie Howard Author. And I think Twitter, not Twitter, TikTok, because let's not talk about Twitter, but TikTok is Amalie Howard Author. And I'm new on that because at first it was literally my cat, like cat fetish. So I watch cat videos and little kids dancing, and then the occasional 6-pack that just showed up randomly of some dude. And I was learning, I went to a conference, a craft conference. Eric was at it. I think you did it virtually, right? And I learned that I should train my algorithm. So now my algorithm is all book talk, and it's sad. I miss my random abs and cat
That's
videos.
when you get the burner username. You have to have the other account that you actually like better. And
I'm gonna do the burner account. I like it.
Very nice. Well, thank you so much, ladies. It was a joy to talk to you tonight. Everyone, the books are at lovesweetarrow.com on our webpage. We will send along the swag that we have, and follow our authors on social media. Thank you so much.
Thank you
Good
so much
night,
for
Thank you for
us.
having us. Jinx, we said that at the same time.